I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know that as an added bonus, you get a dinner afterwards. If you wish to stay and eat, we're going to have our fellowship meal. When I went to prepare for this lesson, I thought to myself, this weekend was going to be such a busy weekend with everything going on, so I better start early. And so I did. And one of the books that I have in my cabinet, I guess you'd say, bookshelf, was over parables. So Jesus talked many times about different parables, many different things. They've been around such a long time. They've been used countless different ways. So many lessons have been used to speak on Jesus' parables. Who could imagine the number of lessons that Jesus, on his little short time that he was ministering with the apostles, that some of these really short messages could be speaking for generations to people of all different groups, all ages, backgrounds, and cultures, would be able to read these and put them into their lives. The parable tonight that I wish to talk about is about being watchful. We have started these parent-teacher classes about different things with Ronald. One of the things we're doing right now, I don't know how long we'll do it, but it was Jehovah Witness. And if you know much about that, they have the Watchtower group, not specifically over the lesson we're going to have tonight, but that kind of got me thinking about being watchful. Even as babies, anyone that's had a child or been around children, you can see even babies have this instinct of being watchful of what's going around, all the way up to the oldest adults. We see how it's important in our lives to look around, to know our surroundings. Sometimes if we don't know what's going around us, what do? Well, we get scared, right? Naturally, God instilled into all animals this second sense of being watchful. Why did he do that? Well, for animals, in order to survive, many of them have to know what's around them. If they get into my house and they start moving around and I see them, they are probably not going to live much longer, right? They're pests. If they're out in the wild and they are trying to save their family, then they always have to be looking around to be watchful what's going around with their survival instincts. And I'm here to tell you, I think you would agree with me that many animals are much better at being watchful than us humans are. Jesus spoke this parable in Luke chapter 12, and if you have your Bibles with you, I would encourage you, because I know we're going to throw it up on the screen here, to turn over to Luke 12, and we're going to stay right there for the rest of this lesson. In verse 35, as read by Mike, had him go ahead and read it, that way I didn't have to. Let your waist be girded and your lamps burning. I don't see anyone here tonight with their robe on. All right? I don't think I've ever been to an assembly where people wore robes. But in the Bible time, we read it a lot. All right? I don't see anyone here tonight that is covered with some sort of smock that just covers like a trench coat head to toe. The culture in the day that Jesus was writing was telling the apostles about this. The dress code was much different than it is here, isn't it? Here in America, typical blue jeans, t-shirt is the attire to wear, and we don't think about wearing these long things. This morning, many of you women probably did wear a dress, all right? So that would be the closest thing to that. Many of you women would probably not ever think about running in that dress, or you would trip and you would fall. But he says to let your waist be girded and your lamps burning. So let's keep with the topic of the keeping our waist girded, all right? In order for us to travel quickly, we need to have the right attire, right, to get to moving. If something had to be done fast, have you ever been in the bathroom? And I don't know why this is the example I chose, but you ever been in the bathroom and you think the door is locked? and you're there and you're doing your thing, and someone comes and knocks on the door, and you're like, I'm good. But then the door opens. How quickly do you move at that point? All right? Yeah, everyone in here understands that concept. Probably most of us have at one point been in that instant where we're caught with our pants down. All right, and we try to move with haste, don't we? We quickly move to lock a door, to pull things, to become appropriate, all right? We understand the pace that it takes if we're in that kind of moment. But Jesus' servants must be ready. And I think that Jesus is talking to the apostles here, and he's saying, I need you to be ready quickly, instantly, all right, to do his will when the time comes. When at our house right now, I know we're talking a lot about driving a car because Eli is getting all excited about this whole permit thing, okay? And so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about this lesson, and you know, when you're driving a vehicle, it's good to be pretty watchful, isn't it? Most of you know, everyone here that's operated a vehicle knows how watchful we must be, and one of the rules of the road that you must understand anywhere you go is traffic lights. Traffic light only has 3 colors: a red, a yellow, and a green. Doesn't seem that hard. Doesn't seem that difficult, does it? You know, when I was looking into this, I was reading this article that the traffic light system actually started with the railroad system in the 1800s. Before there was even cars on the road, the railroad system used a red and a white light to direct the trains, red being stop, white being go. And it was a system that worked great. There was no problems with that until the 1900s. In the 1900s, there was a certain train that was going down the track, and just through wear and tear, the red cap over the lens fell out. So all you had was 2 white lights, which you can imagine what happened then. So in 1900s, they changed the signal from a red and a white light system into the red and the green system that we have today, thankfully. You can imagine the problems that would cause. Also, just coincidentally, trains also mistaked stars for the white light as well. Anyway, red, yellow, and green system. We all understand the concept: red, stop; green, go. We have no problem with that, do we? Yellow. Yellow, there's the conundrum, all right? How do we handle the yellow light, you know? Yellow is caution. It's slow down. It's be watchful. In our house, our children have been taught yellow is you can make it, all right? You can make it. And we are not the only parents who are teaching our children this, and I understand that. But that's not good driving advice, especially for a young driver, but it's legal because I busted through one of those earlier this week with the Cookeville police cop next to me. But it was legal. Wasn't red yet. Yellow is for caution. Do we need to be cautious? Do we need to be watchful in our lives as Christians? Do we need to think about what's around us and how it's going to affect our lives if we make some bad decisions? Of course we do. Give close attention to the yellow light, because what does it mean? Things are about to change, all right? Things are always changing. We have to be on the lookout for those things. These faithful servants, they had their waist girded. They were ready to move whenever the master came home. Verse 35, it also says that their lamps must be burning. Remember, we're talking about a whole different era of life. The lamp was the light back in the day that Jesus was talking about this, and people understood the value of light and how the master could not wait to light the house, whether it's day or it's night. Because today, in America, in our lives, we have it easy. We don't have to go light a lamp, do we? we just walk over and we just flip a switch. All right? Easy enough. Quickly done. Okay? Even as I wrote this lesson, it is daylight. There is sun out. I have windows. Okay? If we turn these lights out here, this place would be almost pitch black, except for, I don't know, is there any windows in the back? I think it's pitch black. I know it's dark in here when you turn them lights out. These guys had to have their lights ready and be ready to go whenever the master returned. They couldn't just wait and do the work when it's done. In verse 36, it says, "And you yourselves be like men who wait for their master when he will return from the wedding, that when he comes and knocks, they may open to him immediately." Jesus is looking at his apostles, and he is saying to them, you yourselves, you must be ready, because you don't know when the master is coming home. And he's not talking about himself, instead he's pointing towards them. He's looking at them in a way that they are kind of like scared to a point, I imagine, nervous about what Jesus is saying to them and what he's about to say to them. He says to be like men. When I first read that, when I started looking at it, I was wondering at first, is he just talking about men? But that's not the case. He's talking about men and women. The parable itself, spiritually, is talking about the end of time. But the parable sense of it, as the servant of the house, men, women, be ready, because we never know the time when Jesus will come or the master will return. Like a soldier at a post who doesn't know when the enemy might arrive, but he is ready, he is fit, he has studied, and he knows that he must pay attention. Who wait for the master. It's a serious moment. It's a serious parable, actually. If you stop and you truly think about what he's talking about. Peter, as you can see in verse 41, he's going to listen to this parable, and at 41 he's going to say, are you talking this to us, or are you talking about to all people? But we'll get to that. Jesus isn't angry, but he is going to make a point. And he is going to make it clear to them that even though they are his apostles, even though they have special gifts and talents, they have to be ready just like all of us must be ready for when Jesus might return. In the hospital, when I was working there, sometimes we had this instance where patients would get to a point where their attitude was just, they were wanting things that just weren't possible, basically. And some of the attitudes had to be changed by what a caregiver can do and what a patient can do. As parents, we have these talks with our children. There are some things that children can do, some things us parents are able to do. Sometimes we have these uncomfortable conversations, and maybe you've used the term, or maybe you've heard the term, you have a come to Jesus moment. The apostles are truly sitting at Jesus' feet and having a come to Jesus moment on who the master is in the end of time. And he's having this speech with them, and they are wondering, what is going on? Why are you telling us these things? And have we done something wrong? Are you angry with us? And then Jesus says, when he knocks, you must open. Not eventually open, but immediately open. You know, people these days, there are a lot of people who like to take their time, don't they? There are certain people who just can't get ready for anything to be on time. Nothing seems to be pressing, and everything will get done. They're not worried about it. These are the kind of people that when you have family events, they are never in charge of plates. They are never in charge of anything that's essential, but instead they always get crackers and sides and things like that. Maybe the ones that you say that they'll be late for their own funeral. When the master comes and he knocks, There's not going to be any time for you to get ready. The time has come, and he is there, and you must be ready for him. Spiritually, we can't afford to not be ready for our master's arrival. The preparation must be made in our lives at all times so that our lives are ready, that we have a body, we have a soul that God would want, that the master would want. So we have our waist girded, we have our lamps lit, we are faithful servants who are doing the will of God. In verse 37, he says, "Blessed are those servants whom the master, when he comes, will find watching. Assuredly I say to you that he will gird himself, and he will have them sit down to eat, and he will come, and he will serve them." Blessed are those servants, the ones who are prepared, the ones who are doing what's right to the best of their abilities. They'll soon find themselves sitting at the master's table. They're the ones who are going to be served. They're the ones who are going to be rewarded greatly, like kings, crowned because of their righteousness. They did God's will, and they were rewarded. Can you imagine a fancy ball? Some of you have probably been to fancy dinners. The fanciest dinners I've probably been on is probably on that cruise ship, if you've ever been on one of those. But there are some places you can go and you can have fancy dinners, isn't there? Imagine the dinner at God's table, what that would be like. Years ago, I was teaching the 5th and 6th grade class, and one of the kids asked, they said, so what do you think heaven's going to be like? Is it going to be restaurant style? Are we going to order what we want every single time we sit to eat? Or is it going to be buffet style? Is that how we're going to do it? Like, I'm okay with either way, but I would like to know if I get to pick and choose. And I said, I don't think we're going to be eating that kind of meal when we're in heaven. I don't think there's going to be any food involved, which is funny. But I think there will be substance. I think we will be filled with something. I think that there will be things in heaven that we will learn. It won't be we get there and we know everything. I think there will be things that we will enjoy. I think there will be different things to do. And we'll be sitting in the presence of God, which is the most important thing, right? So this parable is talking about the end of time. Final call. The trumpet sounds. It's also talking about the parable as far as the life on the earth, but the spiritual message is heaven's reward, and death will have no respect to persons. It will come in all ages of walks of life for all kinds of people. No one will get to escape it. When the Lord returns, everyone will have to face a judgment. In verse 38 it says, "And if he should come in the second watch or come in the third watch and find them, so blessed are those servants." And for a long time in my life, I had no clue what that meant. But now that I'm older, it makes a lot more sense to me, probably because I'm living that second watch in my life, that middle-aged people. And some of you are not there yet. Some of you already been there and went on to the third watch. But the middle age, time will not slow down. Everything moves at a rapid pace. The kids that we once took to elementary school, one is about to graduate high school. One's already in high school. And we can't slow things down and work. All right, we can't just sit at home. We have to go and provide for all these vacations and holidays and the things in life that just keep going. And then we try to cram every other minute we can of our lives into certain things. If you're middle aged, you understand. You're doing the same thing that I'm doing. And you have maybe certain holidays or certain things that you like, but time just keeps fleeting by. So where does that time go for God? Well, you're here on Sunday night, so I know where you've invested your time. You've done very wisely in that, I would say, as well. We try to do our best to provide for those around us. We try to do our best to spiritually help those who are in our lives, who are around us. We try to abstain from the devil, to avoid sin. and help to get ourselves, our family, and those around us to heaven the best that we know how. And we all came tonight for one reason in particular, to worship the one we want to be with for all of eternity. Those of you in the third watch, you've already passed that hustle and bustle. Your kids are grown. They got their own kids. You're probably watching grandkids, maybe, if you're lucky, if you're blessed enough. You've retired. Life still is moving fast. But you don't seem to be able to do things as quickly as you used to, can you? You don't seem to be able to go as fast. Takes a little longer to get dressed. Takes a little longer to finish projects that you're involved in. Or maybe you can't finish them like you used to and have to hire that out. Know that your reward will be the same. God says that your same reward that the second group will get, the third group will get, as long as they are ready when the master returns. Verse 39 says, "But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into." Don't get confused on the meaning that we would all hype ourselves up in all kinds of preparedness if we knew when Christ would return. I've seen the signs on the church sign. I have thought to myself the same question that many of you have asked yourself. If Jesus came tonight, what different thing would I do? How would I change? If we truly knew, all right, are we saying that we truly wouldn't change anything in our lives? You wouldn't make one phone call to somebody you haven't talked to in a while? You wouldn't, I don't know, change one thing in your life? I think we would all make some sort of preparedness, make some change, at least say a prayer before if we knew the exact time of Jesus' return. Not that we are living in sin. We all, every one of us, living a life, making our call and our election sure, want to go to heaven. Think of this verse as you are the master of the house. Your body, it's your temple, it's your soul. We had a speaker come here one time, and I've heard other speakers say it. The most prized possession, the one and the only thing that God says, I'm taking it back because it belongs to me, is your soul. He has the want to reward it, but will have no problem sending it to hell's fire if it is not of him. There will be no place for it at his table. As the master of a home, when the person finds out he is going to be robbed, he would do things to make sure his possessions were safe. No one in their right mind gives away all the things that we have worked so hard for to people who did nothing to earn it, except for our U.S. government, who seems to give out billions of dollars to people for fraud cases that we continually see on the news. Why is that? Because they are not watchful. In January 6th, if I say that date, I don't know how many people in here know what I'm talking about, but I figure at least 50% of the people in here knows what January 6th is. And it happened 6 years ago, 2021. All right. What happened on January 6th? Well, a lot of things happened, but ultimately, a lot of people went to Washington, D.C. A lot of people walked into our Capitol building. And I think that a lot of our senators, a lot of our congressmen, and a lot of people opened their eyes and seen what happens when just a few people do things that they shouldn't do, but also how much power a few people can do when they finally say they've had enough. All right? Jesus is not going to let anyone into his house. God will not let anyone into his house that doesn't belong there. But also, if we as Christians, if we are living with a sin in our life, if we have a problem, think of it as like a thief, all right? A thief that is coming in to steal our most prized possession, our soul. That's what the thief is there for. You know that Satan, of all people, is very, very watchful, without a doubt. He is not some AI, but he is real. He is a real big problem for us. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11, it says to put on the armor of God. Why? Because it's the only way to stand against the wiles of the devil, the schemes of the devil. He's a trickster. He's probably behind spam calling. Y'all get spam calling? Bunch of lies. It's all lies. I got a couple of heads nodding. It's a problem. It's a problem for Christians. I've seen Christians who are very cool-headed, very calm. After so many phone calls, you can tell they start to lose that. It eats at them. We have to be just as watchful as the devil is. We have to protect the one thing that God says is mine, and I'm going to take it back, which is our soul. In verse 40 it says, therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming, at an hour you not expect. We have to be watchful with our lives. We have to be watchful with our bodies and what we say and what we do, because we do not know when Jesus shall return. But one day he will. You imagine when Luke wrote this, you think he had any idea that 2,000 years later, people would still be talking about it? You, yourself, be ready, be watchful, for Christ shall return one way or the other. We always want to be good servants of his. We always want to be someone the master can depend on. If you're a parent, if you're a teacher, maybe you're a leader in the church, we have elders in this congregation, and I believe with all my heart they are very watchful. That doesn't mean they see everything, doesn't mean they know everything, but I know they know a lot more than I do about what goes on in this congregation. Sometimes I even kind of feel sorry for them, because I can only imagine some of the problems that they hear behind the things that are going on, the problems of the members here, and they have to make some hard decisions, I imagine, at times. Some of those decisions might just affect somebody personally, but I say a lot of those decisions affect us all as a congregation on a regular basis. But they can't see every problem. They can't be everywhere, and they have no clue on what goes on behind some closed doors to its members. We have to be constantly watchful, because we never know when the thief might come to these doors and try to get in. And if we know that, we have to say something. Maybe to someone personally, or maybe to one of the elders or a preacher, if you want to talk to one of those, Ronald. Because we all want to be protected. Because we all know that the devil, the real thief, has a way of finding his way in, if at all possible, because he's always searching how to get in there. Verse 41, you have Peter, who had already heard what Jesus had said. He had sunk as far deep in his seat as he was going to get, and it was finally his turn. You know, Peter waits for his turn to say something. Peter says to him, Lord, do you speak this parable only to us or to all people? All people. 3 little words. Covers a whole lot, doesn't it? Carry a whole lot of weight in 3 little letters. All people. No, Peter. Jesus wasn't just saying it to you, to the apostles. He was speaking it to us tonight, because he speaks to the people here at Center Grove, maybe to a few people on that camera screen that watches over the TV. He tells us all, brothers and sisters, be watchful, be ready, because you know not when Jesus shall come. Gird up your waist, keep your lamps burning bright, because none of us know when he shall return.